It is preview season here on Armchair Analysis, and today we're talking all about the Ohio State Buckeyes. And this is the final video of preview season. We're a little behind. Unfortunately, kind of got under the weather over the last couple of days, and well, moved on Saturday. Took up more time than I expected. We couldn't get the video out then. Yesterday, I don't even know what was going on. Just sick beyond belief yesterday. So today we're back. Tomorrow, since we didn't get the MAC preview today, we're going to do MAC and Conference USA tomorrow. Bunch them into one video, so make sure you tune into those. We'll get some, we'll have some good stuff there tomorrow, and then we'll be doing Sunbelt on Wednesday, the American on Thursday, and the Mountain West on Friday is what we're going to do. So make sure you stick around. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. If you're new around here, definitely subscribe. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers before week 0. We're on a really good pace right now. We're at 173 as of me recording this video. Help us hit 200. 175 would be great too, but help us hit 200. We got a lot of content coming throughout the college football season, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited for it. Hopefully you guys are too. But let's go ahead and get into today's video with the Ohio State Buckeyes. And this is a team that won the national championship last year. They were 14-2, 7-2 in Big Ten play. They averaged 35.7 points per game. That was 14th in college football. They had the best defense in America, 12.9 points per game allowed. Plus 0.3 turnover margin per game. That was 45th in college football. Number 4 recruiting class and number 24 portal class, bringing in 11 transfers. Ryan Day returns as the head coach, but it's a brand new look for this team. Brian Hartline, the new offensive coordinator. Nobody's truly surprised about Brian Hartline being the offensive coordinator now, but this is certainly a team and a group that has kind of a lot to learn now, because not only do you have, and I apologize, I'm trying to find my spot in my book here. Not only do you have a lot of newer pieces to this offense, you have a brand new quarterback, and now you have a brand new play caller. And you know, Chip Kelly did well last year. Obviously, a lot of people were disappointed in the Michigan game and how that was called, but this was a team that was really good offensively last year. They're going to continue to be good on offense. I don't really see that changing. I think Brian Hartline has had enough time in these systems to learn how to call plays and learn how to be the leader of the offense. Ryan Day certainly is going to have some part in it, just because that's his baby is the offense, and I think that's part of the difference of Chip Kelly coming in versus Hartline is just the experience. I think Ryan Day is going to want to be a little bit more hands on, but at the same time, there's a reason he stepped away from play calling duties, and there's also it's no coincidence, because we haven't seen a head coach that calls plays on offense win a national championship. With that said, we'll see what it looks like this year. Again, I'm not saying that Ryan Day or Brian Hartline, either one of them, don't have the reins or wouldn't, but it's certainly a dynamic to watch for this year. Defensive coordinator coming in is Matt Patricia, coming down from the NFL ranks, and that's a big deal, because first off, this team loses Jim Knowles. He gets poached by Penn State. Matt Patricia is going to come down, and I feel like we're going to see a similar storyline to Wink Martindale from last year, where it's going to be a struggle early on trying to figure out how to call plays and how to really get the best out of his defense. It's not going to be a forever struggle, and it's certainly not going to be a team that's the best defense in the country like they were last year. But they are going to be good, and I don't really think there's going to be a huge drop off. I would expect maybe some growing pains as a play caller coming down from the NFL. Again, it's a different game and a different style that you have to have there. I think we saw it again at Michigan with Wink Martindale. Struggled early in the year, and as time went on, they got much better, to the point where we saw what they were able to do against this Ohio State offense last year. As a similar storyline here. You look at this offense, and they got 5 returning starters, and a lot of them are wide receiver. 2 of them are wide receiver, and then the rest are on the offensive line. At quarterback, it's going to be Julian Sayin, expectedly to be Julian Sayin, but Lincoln Keenholz has played an interesting role and has done a pretty good job of keeping that battle, I think, open going into fall. I think that the favorite certainly would be Sayin. But I could see a world where Lincoln Kienholz wins the job. Tavian St. Clair is an interesting storyline because I don't think he's going to start. I don't think he's going to get a lot of playing time. But I am interested to see him play a little bit. And I think we're going to get to see him, especially in that, like, maybe Grambling game, maybe against Ohio. Kind of curious to see what he looks like just as a player when he gets on the field. He's not going to start, and he's not in contention for a starting job, so don't misunderstand me. I'm just curious to see what he looks like. At running back, it's expected to be James Peoples that starts. C.J. Donaldson comes over from West Virginia. That's a guy they're really excited about. Looking forward to see what he's able to do as a part of this offense versus what he was able to do last year or last few years at West Virginia with Neil Brown. At wide receivers, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Those are two returning starters, but Brandon Ennis has some playing time under his belt. And then they get Quincy Porter, who's expected to be a pretty interesting role player as a true freshman. Excited to see what he brings to the table himself. At tight end, you got Max Clare coming over from Purdue. They're obviously stoked to have him, another one of probably the best tight ends in college football right now. They're excited to have him coming in. And then again, when you return 3 of 5 starters from last year's offensive line, going to be replacing. Well, I thought they were going to be replacing him, but replacing the left tackle and left guard. But I think they're going to be fine. I don't really see this offensive line struggling. Size is obviously not an issue. I think they'll be pretty good. And I do apologize. This video, I know, is not going great in terms of flow. Just not feeling great trying to power through it. But we are giving you the information you need, though, to make your informed decisions on this team. 3 returning starters from last year on the defense. 10 of 11 of the projected starters come from the 2024 roster. Bo Atkinson is a transfer from North Carolina, expected to play an interesting role, I believe, on the defensive line, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's supposed to be behind Caden Curry. Bringing back guys like Sonny Styles, who leads pretty much every category outside of interceptions, which is Caleb Downs and Davidson Ablinoson, who are expected to be, who are back and are expected to continue to be leaders on this defense. But Sonny Styles is going to be an interesting one, too, an interesting name to continue to watch as he develops and progresses. Now, he is the leading linebacker. He's the guy with the most experience. What can he do on that side of the football, and what can he do as, again, a leader of this team? This team had 25 turnover opportunities last year, 10 interceptions, 15 forced fumbles. Remember, turnover opportunities are interceptions and forced fumbles versus turnovers. I think it's a better showcase of ability to create problems for opposing offenses, the ability to create the chance to take the ball away. Names to watch, tight end Max Clare. I think he's one of the biggest weapons on this offense and going to be one of the biggest I think he's going to be one of the best players on this team and really show out simply because the attention is going to be given to the wide receiver room. We've seen tight ends in this offense, especially with the amount of amazing receivers that's come through Ohio State, be able to kind of. We've seen tight ends just really step up and be like unsung heroes and stars of this team over the last handful of years. And I think that's going to continue to happen. I mean, we could go back even, I think, to the late 2000s when they had Dane Sanzenbacher, who stepped in on top of Brian Hartline, who was a receiver at the time. Brian Robisky was there too. They had a lot of guys that were really solid at wide receiver. That's been the case since the late 2000s until now. The tight ends just tend to step up and be the players that make I think the biggest difference. I don't want to say they're like. Do I think they're better than Jeremiah Smith? No. Do I think anybody on this team is better than Jeremiah Smith? Not particularly. But I do think it will be an interesting thing to watch because we talk about guys that step up and kind of gather that attention. And then there's always somebody else that's going to be left without attention to them. And I think that's going to make Max Clare the guy. Again, my brain is fried. Jesus. The defensive line is something I'm really excited to watch because they're replacing a lot. I know the defensive ends are supposed to be guys, or their edge rushers are supposed to be guys that are really good, and we've seen them do a lot throughout the course of the playoffs. But it's the interior D line, and it's the fact that not only that, this team is very thin at those positions. They don't really have a lot returning. Or sorry, they don't have a lot. They have a lot. They have guys returning. They just don't have a lot of depth at these positions. So just kind of curious, and hopefully, obviously, we don't wish for injuries, but injuries could really play a factor, especially if they start happening on the D line. Now we go ahead and take a look at the schedule here, and pop it up on the screen, and look, it starts off tough. They get Texas, even though that's at home, that's a tough one, and obviously game day is going to be there. We've already known that. Big noon kickoff, obviously, is going to be there. That's going to be a big game and a big tone setter for the season. You get a couple, and I didn't fix the home versus away games. Okay, problem solved. Anyways, you take a look at the schedule, and it starts with that home game against Texas, but then they get a road trip to Washington, road trip to Illinois, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Michigan, which obviously these road games are not necessarily the worst in the world. I think that Washington, Illinois, Michigan obviously are going to be tougher ones, especially given the projected successes of those teams. Minnesota's a tough home game. Obviously, Penn State's going to be a tough game. Beyond that, the schedule is. I mean, this is a team that's projected to win 10.5 games. You see it down there. They're the best team, or highest odds to win the Big Ten, and like top 3 in national championship odds. So, a team that is expected to be one of the best in college football, if not the best. So with that said, let's go ahead and predict 12-game schedule here. Start off with Texas, and I'm going to give them a loss here. I think that this is just one of those games where I talked about it. Matt Patricia is going to struggle early on in the season, I think, and especially game 1, trying to get settled in as a play caller at the college level. Secondly, I think that's going to be a big game for Julian Sand, or whoever starts. I'm going to assume Julian Sand throughout the course of the year. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So be it. But I'm going to project this as if Julian Sand's a starter. And I expect that he is going to have some issues, have some growing pains in game 1 as the true starter of this team. And I think that's just where we're going to see Texas ultimately control this game and win. And I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, but I just think it's going to feel like Texas is going to win pretty early and pretty consistently. They'll get 2 wins over Grambling and Ohio. Moving to 2-1 before starting Big Ten play. A road trip to Washington. This is an upset spot here. Truly, Washington can win this game. Damon Williams is a guy that I'm not doubting one bit. I think that Washington offense is going to be good. It's a defense I'm curious about. Ryan Walters comes in and is going to be the new defensive coordinator there. What does that defense look like? Will they be able to create problems? I just trust Ohio State a little bit more to get the job done. They'll win that game. A win over Minnesota, a tough game, but I think they'll be able to take control, eventually slowing down those 2 running backs over there at Minnesota and kind of forcing them to try to throw the ball and putting it on Drake Lindsey's shoulders. I don't think they'll be able to answer that call. So they'll be 4-1. They'll get a win on the road against Illinois. Another upset chance here. Illinois has had potential to do this before. I mean, they that 2007 season, they beat Ohio State. Ohio State was still a 2-loss team that went to the national championship game. But this Illinois team, solid, but I just don't think they're as good as everybody's advertising. I'm going to have Ohio State at 5-1. Win over Wisconsin, and then they'll play Penn State, where I think that this game coming out of a bye week is the biggest thing here. At home as well is big deal. They'll get the win over Penn State. Wins over Purdue, UCLA, and Rutgers before this Michigan game on the road to end the season, where I'm projecting another loss to Michigan. 10-2, 8-1. Now, the reason I'm projecting that loss to Michigan is game is in Ann Arbor. Michigan has had the number of Ohio State recently. And I think that as the season goes along, Michigan's going to prove themselves as a true contender once again. Ohio State is still a contender, and they're going to make the playoffs at 10-2, 8-1. I have no doubts in my mind about that. But what I will say is that the two teams they lose to are legitimate championship contenders themselves, and I think that that's what we're going to kind of see as this year goes on. So 10-2, 8-1 is my prediction. Again, I apologize for this video being a little. It's not. Yeah, I don't want to say bad is the word, because I don't think it was bad, but it's been tough. I'm not feeling great. I am congested. I think I got a sinus infection, to be completely honest with you. But it's killing me these last couple of days. So hopefully I can kind of kick this. That's why I'm going to push the MAC preview and just do MAC and Coverage USA tomorrow. Try not to do a second video today and where I'm feeling so bad that I can't really focus fully on making the best video possible. But I didn't want to miss a third straight day of uploads, and I really wanted to make sure we had preview season completed so we can move on to other stuff. So tomorrow we'll be back with Mac at Coverage USA. Again, hopefully I'll be even better than today. But I just appreciate you guys tuning in. Preview season was a huge success. It will be back next year. I'm trying to figure out the logistics of how we're going to do it. But it will be back next year, and I'm excited for that. So I thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your day here on this Monday. And we'll see you guys tomorrow with, again, Mac and Coverage USA preview show.